Deep in the deserts of northwestern Saudi Arabia, there was once a bold promise, so extreme it sounded like science fiction. A city with no cars, no roads, no carbon emissions. A single structure stretching 170 kilometers across the sand, taller than the Empire State Building, thinner than a city block, wrapped entirely in mirrored glass. It was called The Line, and it was meant to be the beating heart of a $500 billion megacity known as NEOM. This is the story of the most ambitious urban experiment ever attempted, and what really happened when that grand vision fully collided with reality. The idea was unveiled in January 2021 by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the architect of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. NEOM was supposed to reinvent what a city could be. The line was its centerpiece, two parallel mirrored towers running in a perfectly straight path from the mountains of Tabuk to the Red Sea coast. Every resident would supposedly reach any point in the city within 5 minutes on foot, with a high-speed rail line running underneath, handling longer journeys, end to end in 20 minutes. Artificial intelligence would manage everything, from climate control to traffic to waste. At full capacity, planners imagined 9 million people living inside this single building, packed into a density roughly 6 times greater than Manila, currently the most crowded city on Earth. The renders were breathtaking. Vertical farms stacked inside glass atriums, growing crops without a single acre of open farmland. Ski slopes reimagined in desert mountains at a resort called Trojena, complete with an artificial lake and a promise of snow in a country better known for extreme heat. A floating industrial city called Oxagon, an 8-sided port designed to anchor global trade routes and host cutting-edge manufacturing powered entirely by renewable energy. A luxury island resort named Sindalah, meant to rival Monaco and the French Riviera, with marinas built for super yachts and hotels aimed squarely at the ultra-wealthy. Together, these pieces formed a vision of unprecedented luxury, technology, ambition, all funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, with a price tag that eventually ballooned past $500 billion. Backed by promises that this would be the most valuable urban development project in human history.
But turning renders into reality proved far harder than anyone anticipated. By September 2025, construction on the line had been formally suspended. In 3.5 years of building, crews had completed only 2.4 kilometers of foundation work, roughly 1.5% of the original 170-kilometer plan. An internal audit later leaked to the press estimated that finishing the line to its original specification could cost as much as $8.8 trillion, an almost incomprehensible figure, and would not be complete until the year 2080. The scale of that number forced a reckoning. Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund wrote down $8 billion from the project. The workforce, which had once peaked above 100,000 workers, was cut by more than a third. Over 1,000 employees were relocated away from the remote construction site back to Riyadh. The population target for the line, once set at 1.5 million residents, was slashed, first to 300,000 and now down to a phased goal of perhaps 100,000 people by 2030, housed in a much smaller 2-kilometer proof of concept segment, rather than the full linear city.
Trojena, the mountain resort that was supposed to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games, lost that honor entirely. The games were reassigned to Almaty, Kazakhstan, after organizers concluded the ski resort would not be ready in time. Contracts for dams, lakes, and structural steel at Trojena were canceled outright. Tunnel construction for the line's underground transit system was also terminated. As of 2026, Saudi officials have confirmed that both the line and Trojena will not see meaningful new investment until at least after 2030. Not every part of NEOM has stalled. Sindalah, the luxury island, held a lavish opening celebration in October 2024, welcoming celebrities and super yachts as a preview of what NEOM's tourism ambitions could look like. Yet more than a year later, the island remains closed to ordinary travelers, with only limited private access available through select luxury operators. It has arrived roughly 3 years behind schedule and several times over its original budget.
The genuine bright spot inside NEOM is Oxagon, the floating port and industrial city. Its green hydrogen plant, a joint venture worth over $8 billion, has reached roughly 80% completion and is expected to begin exporting carbon-free hydrogen and ammonia within the next year or two. Saudi Arabia has also pivoted hard toward positioning Oxagon as a hub for artificial intelligence infrastructure, signing multi-billion-dollar data center partnerships to capitalize on the region's energy resources and its strategic location near global shipping lanes, reshaped by tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. So why did the crown jewel of Vision 2030 stall so dramatically? The reasons are layered. Oil prices softened just as the kingdom needed massive and sustained revenue to fund construction. The Public Investment Fund was simultaneously bankrolling a staggering list of other gigaprojects, from the world's tallest tower in Jeddah to an entire entertainment city called Qiddiya. Spreading that much capital across that many simultaneous megaprojects proved unsustainable. Engineering realities also caught up with the marketing. Building a 500-meter-tall mirrored structure across 170 kilometers of desert terrain with zero precedent anywhere in the world was always going to be extraordinarily difficult and extraordinarily expensive.
Saudi officials have been careful never to call the line a failure. Instead, they describe a phased approach, adapting to market conditions while still delivering what they call world-class experiences. Whether that framing survives contact with a nearly $9 trillion price tag remains an open question. What is clear is that the NEOM of 2026 looks nothing like the NEOM revealed in 2021. The soaring vision of a car-free glass megacity has narrowed into a much smaller, much slower, and far more uncertain project, one now competing for funding against ports, data centers, and a kingdom's broader economic ambitions. The line was pitched as proof that humanity could build something entirely new, a symbol that Saudi Arabia could leapfrog centuries of urban development in a single generation. What it has become, at least for now, is a case study in the gap between architectural imagination and financial gravity, a monument to ambition.
The line was pitched as proof that humanity could build something entirely new, a symbol that Saudi Arabia could leapfrog centuries of urban development in a single generation. What it has become, at least for now, is a case study in the gap between architectural imagination and financial gravity, a monument to ambition that still exists mostly on paper, gleaming in renders, waiting for a future that keeps getting pushed further down the road. For millions who once watched those glossy videos and wondered if the future had truly arrived early, the real lesson may be simpler than any skyscraper. Even the wealthiest nations on Earth cannot outspend the basic laws of engineering, economics, and time, no matter how compelling and beautiful the vision looks on a glowing screen.